Hey guys, so in my last video, I was talking about where we're gonna find life if we do, and some new things that scientists are doing to find life either in our solar system or in another solar system. And basically, I think I was talking about in our solar system now. So yeah, I said there are two main possibilities. I'm gonna add a third, that being Enceladus. So the three of them together are Mars, Europa, and Enceladus. Enceladus is a moon of Saturn. Europa is a moon of Jupiter. And Mars, of course, is Mars. In the last video, I discussed how Mars has methane plumes, salt water, and a very good chance that life exists underground in caves and underground lakes and various underground terrains. However, on Europa, this is very interesting. The next mission, big mission, I guess you could say, probe we're sending out, and I think this is a European Space Agency and a NASA project, they're working in collaboration, is to send a probe out. I forgot the details of this probe, but we're basically going to check to see whether or not the oceans in Europa are active, and whether or not they have currents and tides, and I think whether or not they are volcanically active, or they create heat, because if there's warm water underground, if there's warm water under the surface with currents, it increases the chances for life. Um, so, yeah, Europa is a very small moon. I don't know what the relationship is to our moon. It's probably a little smaller. It's just basically a big, nice, icy chunk. Um, I think it's like a mile thick, the kilometer thick, the surface, and the interior of it is pretty much sure it's liquid oceans. It's an ocean, and there are theories that Jupiter's gravity creates tidal forces. So we have a tidal ocean, possibility of a tidal ocean on Europa, or in Europa, more like it. This is another candidate for life. Arthur C. Clarke has actually written in part of his books about the life forms that may have arisen in Europa. They would be living in darkness, but that's not a problem here on Earth. We look at the bottom of the ocean and very deep sea creatures as some kind of analogy to what we may find on Europa if there is life there. And yeah, so Europa's a good possibility. Enceladus is another good possibility. It's a very small moon around Saturn. It basically is a lot like Europa, but smaller, and it definitely has water underneath the surface. It's a very icy surface, and it's got this giant plume of icy geysers coming out, shooting out of its side, and there are great photographs of this. If this wasn't a quick capture, I'd put it up. Maybe I'll do it later. So, I have these huge plumes just gushing out, ice crystals that used to be water, and people think, there could be life there, and this was discovered during the Cassini mission, which I think is still going on. The Cassini probe is a nifty little satellite that's doing rotations around Saturn and taking nice pictures every few months or every few years. And I forgot how long it takes for it to go back to Saturn, but it kind of does its own little orbit around Saturn. It takes pictures once it gets close of the moons and Saturn itself. We've learned a lot about Saturn, but there's too much to put into one video. So, yeah, so we have these two planets, two moons, Enceladus and Europa. We're going to Europa in a couple years. I don't know when exactly it's all set to happen, but we're going back to Europa. Not manned, of course, but with machines that may either drill into the surface. I don't know if this is the project they want to use, but one of the original ideas was to drill into the surface of Europa and release a probe that would, basically a submarine probe that would swim around, take some pictures, see if there's life. I think we should just go straight for that. But yeah, so that's another possibility. We don't have anything planned for Enceladus. And in a recent science, I guess it was a NASA conference when they were voting on what this next mission would be, Europa won out. One of the other contenders was Titan. Now, Titan is interesting not because we think there's life. There could be life, of course. But the fact that Titan resembles a very young Earth that never warmed up. And it is very similar to Earth geographically, not only because it has literally it has mountains, it has it's an active planet geologically, and also it is basically like a dark twin of Earth. It's about our size. It's the largest moon of all of the moons in the solar system. It's basically as large as a planet, and it has mountains and rivers and streams and lakes and possibly seas of methane, liquid methane, because it's so cold. It acts more like water. So we have ravines and streams, and it's all methane. So and even the volcanoes are methane. So it's a very interesting place, and a lot of the building blocks for life are there. And they actually say there's enough oil there to, like, I don't know, power Earth for I don't know how long, but there's an astronomically large amount of oil on that satellite, which is, I wouldn't say that's a good motivation. It'd be kind of sad if we just went to Titan for its oil, quote unquote. But at any rate, those are the possibilities, just the primary possibilities in our solar system for life. We don't know what we're going to find in other solar systems. We will find out probably in our lifetime whether a good percentage of what the possibilities are for life arising outside of Earth. What are the chances of life happening again elsewhere? If we begin to find it all over our solar system, greatly increases the odds. Because then that means it extends the possibility of life arising beyond this tiny little sliver of too hot, just right temperatures that we're in relation to the sun. It extends that if we find life around in Enceladus, if we find life on Europa, then all of a sudden we have this larger area where life could arise in a solar system, which is quite amazing. It increases the probability of life arising, it increases the probability of intelligent life arising, and thereby, I mean, I think a good thing to look at is Carl Sagan and his Drake equation video. I'm going to link that in this eventually when I get a chance to. Very good, very interesting. And basically, the statistical odds, even conservative statistical odds, for life arising in this galaxy and in this universe are pretty amazing. And now, I guess I'm not going to get into it because I don't know the details enough to explain it, and I'll look like an idiot if I do. So, yeah, okay. So I'll leave this video at this, and thanks for listening, and I think I'm going to continue in another video about the crazy philosophical reflections about this stuff. So yeah, thanks for listening.